So excited that my dear friend Holly Dowling, who is an amazing award-winning global speaker and inspirational thought leader, is here to talk to you today about how she was able to go from speaking at enormous corporations for keynote speaking, for event speaking, sometimes to crowds of thousands, and then what? She had to take all of that, move it into her home office, and create a home office studio that looked professional. I am so excited for you to meet Holly Dowling and see how she took her home studio from, oh my gosh, how do I do this, to wow, this is a professional looking studio. So without further ado, I am going to introduce you to Holly Dowling. Welcome, Holly Dowling. I am so thrilled to have you here with us. Today, we're going to be talking about your home office because ever since the pandemic, instead of you traveling all around the country like you typically do and outside of the country to do your high-level speaking engagements and keynote speaking engagements, you now have been relegated to your home office. And when you first started, what happened? What were your thoughts about that? What was the equipment that you had? How did you feel about presenting yourself on camera constantly instead of in person?
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, Sherry, and I thank you and adore you. And for everybody that knows the gift and brilliance that you bring to the world, you are really one in a million. I just had to say that. So on that note, you asked me a question. I have to tell you something. I literally can remember the last trip. So as you said, I'm usually on the road all the time. I can look you in the eyes right now and tell you, I vividly remember getting off a plane from Baltimore, Maryland, back at home on March 5th. Never in our wildest dreams did we think, any of us, what was gonna happen, but I never imagined that that would be the last live travel event I would do. What happened, and being booked, March and April and May are very big in the event industry, right? So all of a sudden, it wasn't even like I had time, Sherry. It was events after events that were either some did get shut down, but a lot got turned into virtual. I didn't have time to be thinking about, oh my goodness, now I've got to turn my office into a virtual backdrop. So I just started winging it like most of us do. Right? So I have to tell you the first lesson I learned though, and I didn't think about it till getting advice from other people. The first thing I did was make sure I got that little good lighting that we all buy on Amazon, and it's a little, wait, you plug it in and you can clip it and it lights up and wait, where's my little, oh, there we go. You remember this one, right?
Oh yeah.
So I had this and I'd connect it to the computer and I'm just winging my way, and I had my desk, oh, big faux pas, everybody. Right, huge, Sherry. I had my desk the way it's always sat in the office. I loved it in the corner where I could look out. Big faux pas, if you're into feng shui and energy, I never realized that being in the corner was the worst thing that could happen for energy for people watching. Like, you probably know that because you're an expert, Sherry, but I didn't know that. So I'm winging this stuff, and I have no idea that this beautiful glass poster that was a gift to me, the cover of my book, that it's shooting glare out to everybody, right?
Oh my gosh, right, glare.
Right, yeah, and even like microphones, I had the microphone from my show, Celebration of You, but that wasn't creating really good audio. So suddenly, after numerous events, and then, oh, by the way, to everybody, you're gonna love this, Sherry, because I'm big on, I do like to share slides. When you're working and delivering virtually from your office, but you better take the time to have a dry run through with your client and know what kind of platform they're using, because everybody uses different platforms, and different platforms have a different way of showing you your backdrop and your slides.
Now you're on all these different platforms. Are they asking you to do things? Are they telling you to change your life? What's happening? What happens when you do that?
Well, to be honest with you, I have to say this with love. My clients are very gracious. No one has asked me to do anything. I would start they would follow our advice, right? Like, I would be very clear with our team on how to, and we could talk about this on another one, but when it came to doing presentations, right? Platform and all the logistics, I will say though that I started watching some of the recording, and that's when I went, oh boy, And if you recall, at the beginning of this entire pandemic, when everything went virtual, do you remember when Zoom, especially, poor Zoom, God love them, remember they had a complete outage and it got hacked? And I mean, nobody was used to our infrastructure in the internet, whatever platform, getting this much usage. But one of the things that people started doing, which ended up being a huge faux pas, I myself did it for a personal family event and realized this is not cool. And that is, please do not create a Zoom background for yourself if it's not one of the normal ones that they create. Because what happens is when you move, you get in and out, and it drives people crazy. It drives me crazy, but everybody thought it would be so cool to create their own backdrop. So you're the expert at the green screen. Stick with green screens. But for me in the office, you know, we would start watching these things and I'm like, I'm not liking the way that looks. And the other thing you have to think about, note to self for everybody, the way you see me right now with Sherry, what you don't realize, and this is where it's really important, my computer is not sitting on my desk. It's sitting 3 books high, because where you sit, you've got to make sure that people can see you in a good way, but not so far away, but also where your head is not being cut off if you move forward. So in order to make that work, I have a trick now. We have literally 3 books from the bookshelf that I use consistently. It's like we have it down to a science when it's time to go virtual. Get those books. It's usually all the books about wine because that's what I love, just saying. And I bring out the books. I know exactly which ones, I know the position. And I even started putting little things of tape, the way that the computer and the books need to sit. Nobody would know this, but it can make you turn your office so fast, and from being working to being able to go live on video. And what you see behind me doesn't look normal when you walk into the office. So for example, the positioning right now, right? You see the fabulous Marvel Studios Shiro poster to one side, but if you walked in the office, it looks way wrong because it's really low, because it has to be for, think about your viewers, think about your audience. You want them to see and feel and experience you at your best, but you don't want them to be annoyed and have a lot of confusion going on. So one of the best pieces of advice I was given was, people need to see a little bit of you and love. So if you notice my bookshelf, little picture of my hubby and I, the kids, some of my favorite books, just a little. Please do not have a cluttered bookshelf in the background. Way too much and very annoying. So think strategically, give a little flavor and a taste of you in your personal life, like I do. And then, because a producer, so when I was asked to be an expert on the season 2 of The Advisors, they were going to shoot it in New York City. We can't shoot in New York City. So the producers came to each of our homes, literally walked in and turned my office upside down for the best. So what you're seeing now was truly everything recreated, and I'm keeping it this way because of their advice. So this big cover of my book, which actually is a beautiful poster that was printed at the local Federal Express. I mean, right? But what it was is, I have a beautiful gift from a friend that was almost the same size, but it's in glass. Beautiful gift last year to cover the book, but we can't use that on video because of the reflection from the glass. So these are intentional things that we've done, even to where the level of my chair is, where I'm sitting, and where everything was set up behind. And oh, by the way, it's one of our favorite things, Love You More.
Yeah.
Right? Love that. And it's a stack of my books, because sometimes if I'm doing an event, people want to see, and I'll put the book up there so it's on its own display. Okay. So people need to know who you are. I would say your brand. This is huge for my brand, but I'm not taking it down and taking it off the walls every time, keeping it up. And then the big, and you know, Sherry, you have one of these. I also had to up the lighting when I realized that this little thing wasn't doing the job. Okay, don't clip that on the computer. But I have one of the giant, big, on a tripod, 18-inch, newer lights, right? The rings, beautiful. But what you don't know is that every time we go to deliver virtually, even the beautiful sunshine has to be gotten, the shades are down, because the lighting can be really disruptive. I could go on and on, but how's that?
No, that's great. So what is the equipment that you are using to do your virtuals? What do you use?
Other than my computer that I am using right now, which is my old Mac, nothing new. We are on Zoom, which I love Zoom now because they've really done some amazing things. There's no special microphone. I stopped using the microphone that I use for my show because it was having distortion in the audio. I'm not even using earbuds or a headset, but if you're going to be free to do that, which I believe creates much better audio, you also have to make sure that you have signs on your front door, like I have right now, that say do not disturb, and make sure there's no noise. So make sure you're in a very quiet place. If you do not know that you have that, like if I knew that wasn't with certainty, I would have to wear a headset. I wouldn't want to disrupt the audience. Other than that, Sherry, the only other equipment, I haven't bought anything else. The producers for the show gave me the giant ring. So it's about being intentional and strategizing the equipment, and maybe you up your game for a few things, but knowing really how to set it up.
Wow, I love that. I love that you use such minimal equipment. For you, it's worked perfectly for you to use your MacBook Pro,
Yep.
right? An 18-inch newer ring light.
Yep.
And you've just reset your entire office so that it stays in studio. That's what I call it, stays in studio,
Yeah.
even when you're working.
Yes.
Because you know exactly which items you're going to use to set up your laptop higher so that you're looking at your viewer directly, and your ring light is always set. You leave your ring light where it is?
Actually, that's a great question. The big ring light, when we're done and I had a big event today, I'll just move it over to the corner of the office so that it's not in the way of walking. But I secretly have a little piece of tape on the floor where I know it needs to be positioned, because tip and note for everyone is that if you could see the way things are set up, it doesn't look like everything is straight on. Yeah. Because I'm going to do it right now, but if I move this, right, very slightly, it changes how I am centered and the bookshelf. And the 3 books that I have stacked up, and I guess I think I've seen there's like tripods or things you can put under your computers to lift them up.
Yes, there's a computer.
Yeah, I didn't invest with one. I mean, I'm just using books.
Love that. I love that you're using books. And it's so easy to set up a home office and look fantastic, because you do, and give major league presentations, which you do, and still look extremely professional. It doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg. In fact, it doesn't have to cost much at all.
Right.
So these are great tips that you're giving everyone. Question: when you get dressed for your presentations, is there a guide that you're using as far as colors, as far as solids versus patterns, as far as jewelry? What do you do? Makeup wise, what do you do?
Oh, I love that question. I'm really, really adamant about what you just asked me. And I think that everyone should pay close attention to this. And that is, if you notice, I'm wearing white with green underneath, but what you all don't know is that I'm wearing shorts and I'm barefoot. Just saying. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. Now, for some people, if you want to wear heels, go for it. I mean, I just don't see the need. But back to color, the reason the white jacket's on, if you notice, my standard chair in the office is a black chair. I have a white chair that I use sometimes.
Okay.
And then I will wear a darker color. Never wear prints. Please do not wear prints. Don't wear anything that's busy. So I know we have all these cool shirts and cool looking things. It's very distorting on video. So the best advice is go with solid colors that look good and reflect good on you. I will always be wearing jewel colors. Like you're in pink, Sherry, it just does beautiful for your skin. You won't see me in pale colors. I will wear jewel colors, no prints, and I'm very cognizant of, typically I always wear a jacket over a shirt. It's just who I am and how I present. With that said, I also know what color is the chair in the background. Simple little things like that. Now, I love that you asked about jewelry. Not distracting. I have on one simple pair of earrings, and this is more for the ladies out there. If you choose to wear a lot of jewelry, be very self-aware and cognizant of how distracting as I call them, disco balls will be. If you've got big, chunky, huge earrings and you've got giant necklaces on, it might be great for socializing and it might be great in a different place. But virtually, to present, what people need is to hear what you're going to say in a way that they receive it with no distractions.
That is the word, distractions, because that is the key to giving a good presentation, is to eliminate the distractions for your viewers. So excellent, excellent points. Now, what do you do about makeup? Because you always look so absolutely gorgeous. You know, everything looks perfect. So when it comes to makeup, what do you do?
Did you notice my face? I'm like, oh, if you only, well, thank you, my love. Thank you. And if you only knew, because I actually do not enjoy wearing makeup. That's on a day-to-day basis. I don't typically wear any makeup. I love to be all natural. So when it comes to, here's a great rule of thumb. And I'm gonna say that this is how I choose 85 to 90% of the time. I'll tell you what the other 10% is in a minute. 85 to 90% of the time, I'm still going to feel natural. I don't wear foundation. I just wear some powder. I am cognizant of under the eyes, and I just, a little mascara and some lip gloss. Keep in mind that everything you do, you don't want to be shiny. So it's just some powder and that's it. I'm comfortable that way. I don't want to be overdone, but there are times like shooting the show when the producers and everybody sent the makeup artist. And for those of you that want to go watch, feel free. It's called The Advisors Season 2 on Notoriety Network. I had fake eyelashes on.
Okay.
Because when, you know, a professional does your makeup and you're like, okay, I don't feel that that's necessary on a normal basis in serving my clients and doing what I do. And also be aware of your clients. They're used to seeing me in person. They need to see the same person just on virtual, not a dramatically different person. And I just thought of something, Sherry, because you were asking about jewelry and all that.
Yeah.
Please, for the ladies, do not wear bracelets that bang.
Excellent point. Oh my gosh.
Because you're sitting and you're doing this, and next thing you know, things are bangling and making noise, and you just don't think about all those little things that can make a huge difference.
That is so true. That's a great point. Thank you, Holly. That's a great point. And as far as makeup, I love what you said, because when you're doing makeup for video, unless you are doing beauty videos, and that's what it's about, your makeup should be whatever you would traditionally or typically wear to the office. So it's not like you're going out to dinner. This is just you presenting. So I love that you agree with that. So let me ask you also, now that you've been doing this for months and you've been working out of your home office for months, are there any specific things that make it easier for you when you're talking into the camera? Because that's one of the hardest things for people to do, is to look at that little green dot and see the beautiful people behind the dot. So what do you do that makes it work for you?
Well, and I love that you just asked that too, because we were talking about this earlier. And that little green dot has got to become your lens, as though you're looking at millions of people's eyes. And you and I were just talking about that, because coming from being and used to being in very large ballrooms, and I love to be in the place with people, right? Like we talked about, Sherry, like I want to see their hearts and their minds, and I want to see how they're feeling. And when you don't get that, now on smaller group events, when they have them piped in and people can put their video up, you have a better idea of how people are feeling. And you better be paying close attention, ladies and gentlemen, to how engaged your audience is. Because remember, attention span virtually is much less than it would be in a live event. So you got to be even far more energy up. And that energy up doesn't mean like woohoo all the time. It means being in there and knowing how to use your voice, knowing how to use your eyes, knowing how to use the chat room, knowing how to do all that in a way to keep people engaged. But when I have a couple thousand people I'm delivering to, like last week, I don't get to see their faces. They don't have anybody on video. So you have to know that when you look in that green dot, you are speaking to a human being, and you've got to understand that. And it might mean practicing that a few times on a recording get some trusted friends, family, or colleagues, and get comfortable doing it. Because if they don't feel you are authentic and transparent, they're going to check out, gang. And I coach people on speaking, and Sherry, you know this, just launched my Extraordinary Speaker again. And one of the things I tell everybody, I'm giving you some free tips, my secret sauce that I'm now doing. And that is the first 90 seconds is all you've got to get people to stick with you. That's it. They'll tune in and they'll be all in, or they'll tune out and they're gone. And something that I just wanted to mention when we were talking about makeup and all of that. So I'm gonna push back on something to a lot of people out there. And I know, I want you to hear this, depending on your brand and what you are, you know, Sherry is the queen and the guru of YouTube. So as you are developing your YouTube channel and you know who you want to show up as, I give you that caveat. You have to know who you want to show up at so you know who's going to follow you. Please, please, for the love of God, if you want, if it was in my business and what I do not show up on YouTube doing your videos looking like you just crawled out of bed.
Oh my gosh, right.
Because you'd be amazed how many people in my world and doing virtual events, I mean, even leaders that I'm interviewing, I'm like, really? Could you at least, and know what's behind you? Like, if you're gonna have please don't do anything in front of an open window. People think it's cool to see everything. No, it's not. And the lighting is horrible, and you know that. But like, know what's behind you and know what people are gonna see, because they're paying attention. In that 90 seconds, I know Sherry loves artwork. I know what she loves flowers. Like, people are watching, they're learning about you. So make it matter.
Those are fantastic points and fantastic tips. Every single thing that you said about not showing up the right way, not branding yourself when you're a professional is so, so valid and so important. And when you think about who you are as your brand, the one thing I tell everyone is that no matter what you want to happen, the first thing people do is judge you. And they judge you by what you present and what you present behind you. And if you don't think about it and if you don't care, it shows. If you think about it like you do, Holly, and if you care what you're presenting and what people think and what you want them to think, it shows. So yes, who you are and what you're doing and what you're showing up as really for the business world is everything. If you're doing YouTube just to have fun, fine. But if you're doing YouTube for business, which is what I'm doing and which is what you're doing, you're presenting through video. Be the professional you. So thank you for saying that. That is hugely important. My last question to you, because you've given us so much time and I so appreciate that. Thank you so much, sweetie. If you were starting out today, what are the few tips that you would give people right now to not be afraid, to not, most people are scared. Most people think, oh my God, me, when actually you and I know it's all about you. So what would you say to all of these people who are freaking out that they have to be on camera, but it's business? What would you say?
I would say, are you willing to pivot from the pain of now to the possibility of next? If you're going to live in fear, you will never end up getting out of your own head and out of your own way. And now, more than ever, is the perfect time to embrace courage, let go. I'm going to say it just like I tell people when I'm speaking, but it's time to stop shoulding on yourself, SHOULD. Oh, I should do this, or I shouldn't do this. No. Step out of fear and faith, have some courage, let go of all the things you're worried about, because at the end of the day, guess what we do? We are our worst, we get in our own way. We are our own roadblocks. And when you're willing to let go of that and just start doing them. I mean, Sherry, you know this about me. I hated doing video. I mean, my poor team is like, people's, are you gonna ever do more videos? And do you know what happened in the midst of this pandemic? I finally let go of worrying about how I looked all the time, but I started doing more videos. And I was like, I'm feeling this nudge to just share miracles in the mess. I had no idea how that would explode, because what people need is this is the only way we have human connection now. So even if you're an introvert, and by the way, secret, I'm an borderline introvert.
Oh my God.
People think I'm an extrovert, but it's because I love to be engaged when I'm serving. But when I'm done, I love to be alone. I need my time to refuel. So introverts really don't enjoy all this video. But if this is your business, or I'm going to say if you're a leader and you need to be really thinking about using virtual to your benefit, think of it as how you're serving the people you're trying to support. And if it's your business, it's now more than ever your opportunity to just, and you know what, it's okay if you screw up. People like the screw ups. I mean, I'll literally be like, do y'all want to know? I'm literally wearing shorts and I'm barefoot, like I said. And then people laugh and they're like, oh yeah. But you said what tips? Whatever you do, take the time to listen to the tips that we've been sharing. Think about being intentional. All you need is this tiny little backdrop. I mean, gang, this isn't much, that's not a big space right there. But be intentional, and please do not sit in front of a shower curtain. Oh, I see people doing that and I'm like, no, please. I mean, or just don't hang a cheesy little curtain halfway down a wall when all we're seeing is half of the curtain, and put a picture up. Find something that mirrors something you're passionate about, because it invites people into your space. You're in your home, so for goodness sakes, make them feel welcome. People don't want to be in your bathroom, and that's what it feels like. You know me, but I have to give you a shout out, Sherry. You have no idea, this just hit me. So I'm gonna let you give some really top of mind. I would welcome this. So you are the person that really gave me a kick in the you know what about 1.5 years ago around YouTube. And I value and respect you more than any other person out there when it comes to this. And I remember looking at you saying, all right, you're gonna meet some of my team, and it's like one more social media thing, right? It's just not where Holly loves to live. But we took your advice, and it took a while, but your advice of just letting me think of this as what you tell everybody else, and because of what I do for a living, it's the #1 place where people go. They go there before they go to your website to learn about you. They hear about you. Somebody heard me speak. They're telling other people. So when I realized, because of you, my love, the impact and the importance, I hope you have watched in the last, get ready, it's getting even bigger and better. We are actually taking professional videos that I've shot, we're condensing them to 30-second and 1-minute snippets. We cleared out, and I'm gonna be bold and say it, all the crappy old footage that was out there. I was like, oh, I didn't even know. So take the advice that Sherry's giving you. I mean, yes, I'm a global speaker, but I don't know anything about this. And listen to this advice and take it in bite-sized pieces. It's not gonna happen overnight, but I hope, my question to you is, have you noticed, and is it looking better?
I have noticed, and it is looking hugely better. Yes, absolutely. So everything that you took to heart when we had our YouTube meeting worked. And your website, I think, has dramatically changed, because now when you show up immediately on video. I love that.
Because of you?
I love that. And just the fact that everything about you is about getting out there and speaking. And when you get to your website and you see static images, you think, what's going on here? So the fact that as soon as you show up and it's all video, I love that. I think you did phenomenally well. I'm so proud of you. Yes.
And I thank you. And I wanted to be, I'm all transparent, right? There's no holding back. So anybody can hear us have this conversation, because you were instrumental, my friend, because you're a trusted person. I value you, highly credible in my eyes. And so and then it was almost like the affirmation. I mean, I've heard this numerous times. People will go, this was what I used to hear is, gosh, we heard you speak. And then I'm sitting there with the board I'm on and I'm showing them your website. And I'm like, where's the Holly I just heard speak? And I got to hearing that enough. And from people like you and other people, I was like, that's it. We've got to get this ramped up. So, I mean, I'm literally giving you the biggest shout out right now, because you need to know how important your wisdom, your advice is, and I hope no one misses out. And it doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight. I mean, this has taken us a little over 1 year, but it's happening. So.
Right, and it's wonderful. And you, of all people, a public speaker, a high-level C-suite speaker, really gets how valuable video is now. And I understand the time it takes to get through all of the levels of, oh, I don't want to do this, or oh, it's so hard to do this, or oh, I don't really want to make the time to do this, or oh my God, I need this equipment, or whatever. But when you've done it and you look back at it, you think, what the heck took me so long? Because when you see how much it changes everything, when you see how much it improves feedback, it's so worth it. It's so worth it. So thank you so much for saying that. I'm so, so glad it made such a big difference in your life. And I'm so glad that you're doing everything now with your website that you're doing, because it just helps to show your clients and the rest of the world all of the beautiful, valuable, wonderful things that you bring when you do your speaking engagements. I mean, just the person that you are. The wonderful, beautiful person that you are. All right, I'm going to cry.
Yeah, don't. You're going to make me cry. I was you're getting ready. Okay.
You know how I feel about you. So
Yeah.
I so much appreciate A, that you were here.
Love you.
B, that you brought your beautiful self to our YouTube business people who need to know these kinds of things, who don't really know that, yeah, you can get outside of yourself, and yes, you can actually do this and end up enjoying it. Because even though it's hard, and it's hard, talking to the green dot is hard. Even though it's hard, you still know that behind there is you. And that's the power, that's the magic, that's the value of video in our world, to connect all of us together and make us feel, even though we're apart, make us feel like we're together. So thank you. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for being you, Holly Dowling, the amazing keynote speaker, inspirational thought leader, award-winning, global, motivational, incredible person that you are.
I love you.
Thank you so much for being here. I love you.
I love you, and thank you. And I just want to be here to support you anytime. And everybody that's in your world, listen to what she has to say. I'm telling you, it works.
It works.
Mwah.
Thank you.
Of course.